You are watching the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. It's time to see what's making the headlines with the Daily Mirror's associate editor, Kevin Maguire, and the Daily Mail's Whitehall editor, Claire Ellicott. They'll be with us from now until just before midnight. So let's take a look at some of those front pages for you now. Well, the Metro reports on the independent investigation which revealed multiple failings in the psychiatric care of Valdo Callacane, who went on to stab 3 people in Nottingham in 2023. The Daily Mail pictures the 6 victims of the Nottingham and Southport stabbings with the headline, "Failed by the State." The Guardian leads with the global outrage today over the US president's proposal to take over Gaza and resettle Palestinians from the territory. The Financial Times says the plans have been widely condemned, not only by the Middle East, but across the world. The same story on the Eye, which claims the UK is on a collision course with Donald Trump. The Daily Star adds the US president's comments about turning the ruins of Gaza into a holiday resort. Migrants who claim benefits in the UK will be banned from becoming UK citizens under Conservatives. That's the top story in the Daily Mail. The Sun has an exclusive on Liam Payne's girlfriend, who says she wasn't to blame for his death. And we are joined tonight by Kevin and Claire. Welcome to both of you. Let's start with, it started with the news conference last night, Donald Trump's news conference, in which he shocked the world, stating that the US would take over Gaza, they would own it, and they would permanently resettle the Palestinians who live there. Kevin?
Yeah, yay for ethnic cleansing, eh? So, as well as Greenland, Canada, and part of Panama, the canal, he now also wants Gaza, which isn't his, so he'd have to illegally take it from the Palestinians because it is there. It's kind of getting crazy. And there he is sitting with Netanyahu, who didn't prod him, didn't push him to say this. He said it himself. He sees it as a great real estate opportunity. Have some type of Riviera. He claims everybody loves the plan, which is untrue because most of the world seems to have condemned it. And the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, at Prime Minister's questions today said, no, the Palestinians have to return. But he was very careful not to criticise Trump directly because I think they believe they can have a better relationship with him and stop him doing mad things if they have a dialogue. But it's kind of demeaning for a Prime Minister not to say, look, can you imagine if Vladimir Putin had said, right, we're going to take Gaza, move 2.2 million Palestinians out. It'd be outrage, it would be colonisation, imperialism, expansionism. And when it's Trump, it's just, no, the Palestinians must have to be allowed to stay there, return to their homes, but we won't criticise the man himself.
Although Sir Keir Starmer has said that the UK would work with Palestinians towards what they want and towards a two-state solution.
Yeah, but if Putin had said exactly the same, Putin would have quite rightly been called out personally, and Trump hasn't been.
Claire, we are seeing a slight rowback on what was said yesterday with the press secretary in the White House suggesting that it would be a temporary resettlement, which she said several times. Yes. That's coming from her, not from Donald Trump. So is it a rowback or not?
Well, I feel like Donald Trump's not been in power that long, and every day he says a new thing that we all have to try to work out. Is he telling the truth? Is he posturing? Is this all part of his ability to strike deals? Who knows? His spokesman has rowed back on his comments, said there wouldn't be boots on the ground in Gaza, kept emphasising the temporary nature of the people in Gaza not being able to live there. Donald Trump says things to shock, and it's sometimes hard to know whether to take him seriously or not. It's clear that they've decided to row back a bit today. This is his new spokesman. She's very new in the job, but she's clearly saying that he will not be taking over Gaza and turning it into a Riviera, as has been billed. But I think only time will tell what he does. But as Kevin was saying, you would have to seize that territory, and that's you know, Putin-esque.
He's learned none of the lessons from what happened in Vietnam for the US. If they're going to seize that territory, they will be sucked into something absolutely terrible. But his press secretary, you mentioned, the quote, it's on the front of the Telegraph, was asked how long the plan had been in the works. And she said, the plan was written in the president's remarks last night as he revealed it to the world and the American people, and his team are continuing to engage on that effort. Basically, it's not been thought through at all. But he's like a man-toddler, just saying daft things. But it's how many does he mean? That is the problem, because it's.
I did think it was
totally
quite a skilled response from the press secretary, though. She didn't say yes, and she
I'm working for a nutter who says nutty things, and
she's only 27, isn't she?
I know. Well.
Yes, but also Marco Rubio, in terms of pulling back, saying that the plan was not meant as a hostile move, and also suggesting that it wouldn't be permanent.
Creating 2 million migrants, forcing Palestinians out of Gaza into Egypt and Jordan, he's said before. When you consider his position on migrants into the US, he seems to think, no migrants into the US, but it's all right, I'll create migrants into other countries. Everywhere you look at this, I mean, it's unlawful, it's illegal, it wouldn't work, it'd be absolutely outrageous. It's just crazy.
Yeah. The Telegraph, we're going to bring that up now. You mentioned the headline there, but they're going on Sir Keir Starmer, who is basically saying that the plan would favour, as I was suggesting, a two-state solution, and the people of Palestine must be allowed home.
Yes, he said that today, and he is, I mean, that can be taken, as Kevin was saying, as a criticism of Trump, but it's not a direct criticism of Trump. It's a statement of the two-state solution, which the British government is the policy. And Trump has obviously said that the Gazans should be rehomed in countries that have humanitarian hearts. Keir's clearly contradicting that by saying they should be allowed back to their homes. But some other countries have gone farther. Germany went further, and the head of the UN said it was ethnic cleansing, a suggestion of ethnic cleansing. So Keir's rebuttal of this is less strong than in other countries. I think that's really noticeable. And the current Labour government are avoiding criticising Trump in any way.
It might be the right tactic in some ways, but it is demeaning.
Yeah,
you can't speak.
It'd be difficult for Labour MPs.
You can't speak truth under power, crazy power.
Kevin, a suggestion that Nigel Farage is not totally opposed to the plan. Yeah,
well, doesn't he just take his orders from the US? Doesn't that? He might technically be the MP for Clacton, but he seems to be the MP for the White House.
I think he said it'd be great if it was a casino and there were some nightclubs there, which is just.
Yeah, I mean, Muslims are really well known for gambling, aren't they? I mean,
I suspect he was trolling hard.
I mean, if it wasn't so serious, it would be funny. They'd be killing political satire. But there's people lie. We saw the pogrom by Hamas in Israel. We've seen 47,000 deaths in Gaza. The majority of them women and children, so they weren't Hamas fighters. And yet, you get one bloke who wants it to turn it into a big real estate for the US. Now you get a British politician who thinks, oh, let's have a casino. I mean, it just. I mean,
there are commentators saying that Donald Trump doesn't expect to achieve what he's announced, but that's 100% of if he could have his way. But he's hoping that it's part of the negotiating tactics that he might get 30% of what he wants, which would still be a win.
Yeah, like he's the president of the USA. He's not a game show host anymore. It doesn't quite work like that. He's had a poor week because he backed off. He walked away from the tariffs on Mexico and Canada. However you dress it up, Mexico moving some troops to the border, Canada saying they'll stop.
Well, he'll say he negotiated a deal.
Yeah, but we know he didn't. We know he backed off because he got such a kickback in the States because he would have pushed up the cost of living for his supporters. And tariffs damage both sides when they come in, both the exporter and the importer. And now he's firing off this. Maybe his core supporters love it. Maybe they just think, yeah, great, go Don, go. But the rest of the world is just thinking, this guy is, it's Looney Tunes.
Claire, the Star, in their characteristic way of lightening the mood, they've got to wish you were here.
Turning it into
Headline.
a luxury holiday resort. I mean, it takes a lot to put that picture of like abject devastation next to Donald Trump in a suitcase. But yeah,
Is tasteless? Does that tasteless?
it's tasteless, but it does sort of go to the heart of the matter, which is that he's saying a ridiculous thing about.
I think it's quite good. It's now there's always a Daily Star front page, and they're just thick as a brick Donald Trump. But it's hard to dispute that. Wingnut leader of free world. Wingnut, it's hard to dispute it. I'm not sure that's tasteless. I think it is just showing the monstrosity that Trump is and the ridiculousness of his plan.
OK. Let's move to the Mirror, and both talking about the Nottingham and Southport killings. The headline simple there, failed by the state. And there we have all the victims pictured, blunders and tragedy.
It's a very good headline. It's 2 cases where the state should have intervened to stop these 2 people and didn't. And the families of the people killed in Nottingham want the NHS workers who allowed Callaghan to carry on and not take his medication and not have him locked up. They want them named because they feel like that would be justice done and it would stop it would stop something like this happening in the future. And the awful Southport story, the killer, Ridicabana, he should have been picked up. The Prevent programme should have worked, and he should have been picked up and stopped from doing this. And you've got 2 horrific cases where the families of these people have been failed, and there needs to be changes brought about.
Because some papers, I think the Express and the Metro, have splashed just on the Nottingham report, the NHS report. But of course, Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, also admitted the Prevent strategy had failed in Southport. 4 attempts or 4 opportunities missed. There's others as well, but she was looking at those specifically. I think you see the 6 faces, those children. If the state had got it right, those 6 people, 5 children, sorry, and
the caretaker,
they could be alive, and that's 6 families of lost loved ones because the state did fail them in both cases.
And particularly with Southport, because a clear ideology hadn't been defined, that was the reason that it fell out of the Prevent remit.
I think it must be so baffling for normal people to hear that this man wasn't labelled a terrorist because they couldn't work out which ideology he had, and actually he had a range of mad views. Well, how was he allowed to slip through? Why wasn't somebody saying, well, he's clearly not OK and he's exhibiting the kind of behaviour that a terrorist with an ideology would, and therefore he should be caught up in this programme? And if I think there has been a lot of debate about whether Prevent did actually... It is fit for purpose, but it didn't, in this case, didn't work on this person. Well, then something needs to be in place to stop this happening again, because how on earth does somebody who, just because they can't pinpoint what exactly is motivating him, how is he allowed to slip through the cracks?
Yeah, it may not have been a case for Prevent, but there must then be another programme that could get somebody who was clearly... I think the Prime Minister called him a misfit at one time, but he was clearly unhinged.
Do you think that the lessons have been learned? Because time and time again we say that they have to be, but can this be prevented? Can these tragedies be prevented?
I don't think lessons have been learned, and if you're going to learn them, you're going to have to change the systems, and you're also going to... The truth is, we'll have to spend money. Anyone who comes up against mental health services, a case in Nottingham, will know that the staff are absolutely overstretched. They're just swamped by cases, and you get mistakes as a result.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what...
Kevin and Claire, thank you very much for the moment coming up. Could migrants who claim benefits be banned from becoming UK citizens? They might be if the Tories return to power. We'll discuss that next. Do stay with us.
I'm James Matthews, and I'm Sky's US correspondent, based here in Washington, D.C. Do you fear a fourth indictment? Does your government owe an apology to the British home children?
Great to see you.
Does your government owe them an apology? The fact that they were intercepted, does that indicate a military weakness on the part of Iran?
No.
Free, wherever you get your news. There's no doubting the strength of this hurricane as it roars through. You can feel a devastating power. It had been a difficult night in a deadly storm.
Bang, bang. You can hear it hitting the windows.
Our houses are okay.
It's depressing.
As bad as all of this is, it could have been much worse. Today, this land they call sacred is at the heart of America's electric car revolution.
To me, it's a sacred ground.
The white gold rush is a race that Biden doesn't want to lose. I've covered some of the biggest stories in the world. Donald Trump, 45th President of the United States, it would appear is about to learn his fate.
Escort coming out!
San Quentin houses America's largest death row. They rarely allow cameras onto the condemned block.
James Matthews, Sky News.
I want to be treated equally like everyone else.
It's one step closer to getting out, to getting off death row.
Sky News. Get the full story first. Mr. Trump, James Matthews from Sky News.
Hey, James.
You're diminished by claims that you're a racist.
Question?
Mr. Musk, has your ignorance and ego cost Ukrainian lives? Vladimir Putin calls you outstanding. What do you call him, sir?
He's from Sky News. He's from Sky News. He's entitled to ask me questions.
The Premier League is exclusively on Peacock. Two of the league's biggest clubs find themselves at the wrong end of the table.
And the mood turns extremely sour.
Desperately chasing a win to turn their season around.
It's a beautiful finish.
Tottenham Hotspur.
To Eriksen. Back towards Amma.
Manchester United. This is the Premier League. February 16, only on Peacock.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story.
I'm ready. Are you?
Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Weeknights on Sky News.
This is your chance. Tell people. Welcome to the Politics Hub.
Our police force has apologised.
If you want to find out about Grimsby, you come to the docks. I'm live in Jerusalem.
Are you not concerned that that could lead to all-out war?
Hello there, good evening. There are fears of an upsurge in violence. What's at stake here?
You are watching the press preview, a first look at the front pages as they arrive.
Just protect them from Putin.
Welcome back. You are watching the press preview. Still with me, Kevin and Claire. Let's take a look at the Mail front page. The headline there, Kemi, I'll ban migrants who claim benefits from becoming UK citizens. This being described as the first bit of actual policy that she's putting forward. Also, those claiming indefinite leave to remain would have to wait 10 years rather than the 5. Claire?
Yes, so this is Kemi's first major announcement after becoming Tory leader. She's only been Tory leader for a few months. I think she was coming in for a little bit of criticism for not having any kind of policy platform to stand on. And she said the Tories will take their time. We have to rebuild after we've had a horrific defeat at the election. And this is the first time she's come forward to put forward a policy. And she's picked migration. Reform are a big problem for the Tories and probably for Labour too. But Kemi's chosen immigration. She's vowing a crackdown on immigration laws, make it more difficult for people to become British citizens, and they'd have to stay here for 10 years rather than 5 years before they could get indefinite leave to remain. And it would be a tougher system than we have now. So this is her, putting down her cards and saying, I'm going to be tough on immigration. And that's my pitch.
Kevin, is she taking the fight to reform?
I think reform's taken the fight to her. And she said she wasn't going to have any policies for 2 years. And now she's panicking because polls are showing the Tory, some polls are showing the Tories out a third. Labour and Reform almost swapping the lead. But what she, apart from their record, which we could go on and say, why didn't you do any of this when you're in, if you're going to do it? Of course, the big migration isn't people in small boats, 30 or 40,000 come small. It's legal migration, net migration, which the Conservatives allowed. 750,000 went up to a record, much higher than when Britain was in the European Union with freedom of movement. But there's already salary levels you have to come in, and people don't come to Britain to claim benefits. They come to Britain to work, or they come to Britain to study. So I just actually wonder, as she spins this, how many people it would actually impact. Forgetting the rights or wrongs of it, how many people would it actually impact? I would suggest it'll be nowhere near the impression she's trying to create, that this will reduce. I think net migration is down about 350,000 now. It'll continue coming down, but it's not. People don't come for benefits. It's always this myth of people coming for the British welfare.
But one of the things she's saying is that they
not.
have to earn a certain amount.
Yeah, but you have to for legal migration now. You have to come in, and you've got to clear a hurdle.
I think some of the stuff she's saying will appeal to not just people who might have supported the Tories in the past or in the future, but barring people who've got criminal records from indefinite leave to remain, being able to stay in the country, that would appeal to most people, I think. I think there are lots of questions as to why we're not tougher on some of this stuff. And
that would apply now, deportations, if the system operates.
Let's get to the Metro and some breaking news from my colleague Kate Burley. Bowing out after 36 years.
Yeah, she's made page 3. I mean, it's the page 3 girl, woman. Sorry. Anyway,
that's an amazing picture of her.
On the left, how it was. But what a phenomenal achievement to stay at the top of live broadcasting for so long, right from the beginning, 1989. Absolutely incredible. She's been there most of my working life. I would have thought all of your working life, and it was kind of. And I watched and heard it. I thought, are you hearing this? Because it had been kept under wraps. She made the news. She was the news, and it was kept under wraps. So it was breaking news. And I thought that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is indeed. End of an era.
What a career.
Yeah.
Kevin and Claire, thank you very much for the moment. We'll see you in the 11. Let's take a look at the weather for you now. Well, we're entering a colder, calmer spell with widespread overnight frost and some fog possible. There'll be a mostly fine, calm start tomorrow with an extensive frost and some dense freezing fog patches, mainly over East Anglia and the East Midlands. The morning will stay dry with almost unbroken sunshine, but early fog will be slow to lift, while the south will see cloud bubbling up. Temperatures will be around average with mostly light winds, but expect a chilly breeze in the south and northwest. Coming up next on Sky News at 11, the families of the Nottingham attack victims say killer Valdo Calacane got away with murder following a damning report into his mental health treatment.